So, Thomas, welcome back to the show.
Hello, Zach. Good to be back.
All right, now we're going to go through the Golf vehicles that are coming for 2018, and the one that we're sitting in is a 2017. We'll get to that in a moment. So we're going to talk about Golf R. A lot of people have a lot of questions about that car, GTI, the regular Golf, and we're going to start with the e-Golf. And we're sitting in the e-Golf. We're in Mallorca, in the middle of the Mediterranean. Doesn't get any better than this.
No, I think we can't ask for much more today. It's a pretty nice day, pretty nice place to be in the beginning part of April, that's for sure.
All right, so e-Golf is coming to Canada. You waited. I think it's perfect timing for the facelift, the update, the next sort of generation of e-Golf for the one to bring into Canada, because it really is now a car I think that can contend. It's got much more range, right?
No, it certainly does, and that was the big difference in the generational shift. It's still based on the 7th generation Golf, but we have a few little exterior niceties. We've changed the headlights, we've changed the tail lights, we've made the car look a little bit more modern, as the case may be, but the big difference is underneath the skin, and that's battery and motor capacity. The e-Golf now has a range of 200 kilometers.
Yeah, but I just want to stop for a sec, because we're sitting in a car that's now, I think, fully charged, and it says 267 kilometers, and all of the cars we've been driving the last 2 days have all had more than 200 kilometers of range. So why is that?
Well, in the European driving cycle, and that's how they measure these vehicles over here, it's actually rated as a range of 300 kilometers.
But from what I understand is, depending on how efficiently you drive, you can get better than 200 kilometers.
Absolutely. And with any electric car, it really does depend on the driving style. If you take the car and you head out on the highway and you start doing 120, not that I would advocate anybody do 120, mind you, but you start going full gas, the air conditioning on and all that, you're going to see your range decrease rapidly in any electric car, including the e-Golf.
Well, even an internal combustion engine, if you hit it hard, you're going to use more fuel.
Absolutely. And electric cars are really, they maximize their range advantage when they're doing city traffic. So you're in stop and go traffic where the regenerative braking system is actually delivering some power back to the system. And it's in those situations where you're encountering that kind of driving where your range will exceed what you anticipated. But we found that in real world driving, that is the North American driving cycle, a mix of highway, mix of city and such, you should expect around 200 kilometers of range in regular driving. That means you don't have to drive with, an egg between your foot and the accelerator pedal. You can realize a true 200 kilometers range. Now, having said that, when it's minus 20 in the middle of February and you've got the heat on and such, you might see lower than 200. Of course, that's natural, but we've also included some features in this new Golf that are designed specifically for the Canadian market. And what I mean by that is heated windshield is a standard feature. So a real high draw item for the power of a vehicle is your blower fan, your heating elements and such. And as you know, in an internal combustion engine, you're actually using waste heat from the engine to create cabin heat. Well, you don't have any of that in an electric car, so you're actually engaging an electric heater, you're using a blower fan. That uses a lot of energy. Having a heated windscreen helps in that regard, really helps in that regard. Also, we have a built-in heat pump, which is standard in all the Canadian spec cars that will be arriving.
Just to give you more heat.
Exactly, and that's going to draw waste heat from the mechanism, from your batteries, from your electric motor, and from ambient air, and give you a little bit more cabin heat, and also, of course, heated seats. Everything we can do to maximize range in winter driving, we've done in this car.
So charging, most people are going to put a 240 volt charger in their home. How quickly does it charge?
Well, this thing is pretty fast. Now, we always rate it down from where you've deteriorated your battery down to pretty much zero. You put one of those wall boxes in, and you've reduced your charging time down to about 4 to 5 hours.
Right.
So
and that's easy to do when you're overnight.
Exactly. And remember, that's from nothing. So if you run it down to zero, it's going to take you 4 to 5 hours. Now, built into this car is also a DC charging system. So at these fast charging stations that are going up all over the different provinces and along the highways and behind the coffee shops and such, you plug into a fast charger and you're now getting this thing up to 80% power in 45 minutes, and at the real fast charging ones where they've really cranked up the amperage, down to 30 minutes. So you go in, you get a coffee, boom, plug the car in, 30 minutes later you're back up to 80% capacity.
So this car is priced at starting at $36,000. It's you call it 35.
$35,995.
Okay, I call it 36,000.
We'll give you change from your $36,000 bill.
So in Ontario, you're going to lob off $14K out of that.
It certainly does sound that way.
So you're getting around 22,000.
Well, we're not doing it. The provincial government is doing it, and in the province of Quebec, it's $8,500, and in British Columbia, it's $5,000.
So that brings this car down to a very competitive. It's a very nicely equipped car too, to a regular Golf.
That is correct, and we understand that our whole method behind the madness with this car is. People love the Golf. Mm-hmm. We've sold 33 million Golfs over the last 40 years. We sell a lot of them in Canada every year. It drives like a Golf. You drove it. Mm-hmm. You know.
It's very quick.
Yeah, it drives like a Golf. If it looks like a Golf and drives like a Golf, it must be a Golf. It just so happens to be electric as well.
The one thing is, this car isn't a reaction to the diesel situation you guys have been going through. This car has been out and has been planned for many years, long before that happened.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people are saying, well, you're kind of, this is greenwashing the whole situation. But I mean, I was at I think it was the Paris Auto Show a few years ago with you, and at that time, your chairman said that Volkswagen was investing 80 billion euros into this technology throughout the Volkswagen Group, Audi, and so on. And now we're starting to see the fruits of that.
Absolutely. And the e-Golf is really only one step towards the electrification of our fleet at Volkswagen. And years down the road, we're going to embark on our next strategy. By 2020, we've got an all-electric infrastructure in play. And then we're calling that MEB, so our electric powertrain. But this car will be designed from day one to be electric only. And that's going to lead us another step down the road. And then we're heading towards autonomy.
I don't want autonomous cars.
Well,
I like driving.
I like driving too, but it sure would be nice.
And stop and go traffic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You leave the city and you hit that button in the middle of the dash that says, hey, let me do the driving for a little bit of time.
All right. I just want to, because we got a lot to go through today. There's a lot of excitement around the new facelifted Golf coming, and it's coming. This car is going to be the first one. It's coming early, right? In June?
This car is coming early. The new facelifted line of the Golf, the e-Golf is actually going to be called a 2017 model, but it'll have all the 2018 enhancements. And by enhancements, let's start where the car starts. New headlights. We've got on the e-Golf.
And this is let's go across the Golf family. So what would you get in this kind of in this, but also in the regular Golf family?
Well, you're going
the headlamps are all going to be LED.
Headlamps are all new in all the Golfs, and in the regular, run-of-the-mill Golf, if you will, it's going to be your typical halogen headlight with an optional LED. Yes, LED headlight, and I'm not talking about the daytime running lamps.
The whole thing.
They'll be LEDs, but the whole light itself will be LED. So we've gone from halogen to xenon, now to LED. Tail lights are going to be LEDs across the board, so all Golfs, all GTIs, all Golf Rs, and of course the e-Golf will have LED tail lights. In terms of exterior styling, your front valence, your rear valence.
Oh, so back up on the headlights. Now, some cars will get those LEDs standard, like this car gets them standard.
This car gets it standard. Golf R will get it standard. GTI will have it optional, and Golf
regular
will
Golf
have
optional.
It optional
Okay,
as
so
well.
rear tail lights LEDs, new front and rear fascia, slightly updated. Like you always joke with Volkswagen, we moved it 1 millimeter. There you go. That's the update.
Hey, a lot of engineering went into that millimeter, and I'll tell you, we didn't move it just for the sake of moving it. We moved it because somebody in the wind tunnel said, hey, we're gonna get better fuel economy, and we don't want to sacrifice aesthetics, but there's method to our madness in that too.
All right, now under the hood, there's a lot of chatter in Europe that the Golf R gets a bump in horsepower, GTI gets a bump in horsepower. Let's start with GTI, because it does get a bump in horsepower.
Yes,
because you sold a performance pack GTI that now is the base engine, right?
Correct. Last year for model year 2017, we had a 210 horsepower GTI and we had a 220 horsepower GTI, which was called the performance package. Both cars kept 258 pound-feet of torque, but one had a little bit more horsepower. For 2018, and that will be arriving in September of this year, all GTIs will have the 220 horsepower engine.
But in Europe, they get more. Why don't we get more? Everybody wants more.
Well, Europe gets more because they get to come to these beautiful islands with
critical mass too, I think, right?
Yes, and as well, let's make considerations toward fueling. The European fuel tends to be of a very high quality, so we're able to maximize our engine tuning. That's where all your gains come. It's in the tuning. We didn't change the pistons. We didn't change that stuff. We just tweaked the tuning a little bit. And right now, it works very well in Europe. Could we see an additional horsepower bump in years to come with GTI? Of course we could. But for 2018, we're going to see 220 horsepower.
So you don't have to buy the performance pack anymore. Just get the regular one.
Exactly.
And
so,
are you adjusting the price? Can you tell me the price?
No.
Okay.
That
so
was
it's not
easy.
out yet.
That was easy. The pricing will be released closer to the time that we're going to be releasing the cars, which is in September. But as you mentioned, 220 horsepower is going to be available right from your entry-level GTI. So you've got that power bump already.
Dashboard. They get the new 8-inch screen as standard equipment in the GTI. You don't get the available 9.2 or the digital dash that will be in the R and this E.
That's right. In the regular Golf and the regular GTI, we have our new system called MIB2.
And it's better.
Oh, yeah, it's better. Better resolution, better functionality.
Faster.
It's faster. It like tablets and technology is getting better, so our radios are getting better. It's 8 inches. So every single car is going to have an 8-inch dash.
8 inches?
I'll let you handle that one. On the e-Golf,
Yeah.
as we're sitting in right now, and the Golf R, there will be an available 9.2 inch.
Which I wouldn't get. You know why?
Why?
There's no volume knob.
Aha.
The volume knob on the 8-inch screen, no volume knob on the 9.2. What are you guys thinking? Didn't you learn from Honda? Honda went back to the volume knob.
Well, our studies have shown that people that look towards the technology package so that they actually pay extra money to get the larger screens and that, they're the technophiles. They're the ones that want
I
that.
call that's PR spin.
No.
I guarantee
all
you
good.
by the next update there'll be a volume knob on there.
I'll take that bet.
All right. Now the digital dashboard is also only available in the Golf R and the e-Golf, right?
That is correct.
I'm on the fence with these things. I mean, they're cool, but I'm kind of the person that I would set it once and forget it. The only thing I would buy it for is because it's packaged up with all the advanced safety stuff.
Yes, on the e-Golf and on the Golf R, you'll be able to get the digital dash. So it's, I think, a 12.3-inch diagonally measured screen.
that much
and it's,
now, yeah.
It's all electronic. And like you say, it's cool.
Yeah.
And you can set different modes. You can
Right.
set like an economy mode. You can have a giant Navi screen in there. And because it's customizable, you say it. You're right. You would set it once and forget it. And a lot of people will do that. But how I said it and how you said it might be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
That's the
something
beauty, yeah.
Exactly. You can't do that unless you have.
But all the advanced safety features, the forward collision warning, all that stuff, and even the auto cruise that takes you down to zero, that's the part that I like and you like, is when you're in bumper to bumper traffic, the car can do all of that for you.
Well, that really is a step towards autonomy, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know, you look at some of these features and our lane departure warning and such, where it actively helps steer you and keep you in the lanes and such. This is the infancy of self-driving cars.
All right.
And that's where you get it, in that package.
Next car is the top dog, and this car has kind of blown away everybody's expectations. The Golf R, at just roughly $40,000, has really hit the sweet spot in Canada. For a lot of people who maybe were thinking of a premium car, have decided, I'll get a Volkswagen with almost 300 horsepower and all-wheel drive. It makes so much sense. And then for those people that are moving up in the GTI line, they think, well, it's going to cost me another $40-50 a month. I'm going to get the Golf R in my lease, right? It's blown the doors off.
It certainly has. This was a car that the enthusiasts cried for years. And wow, did it take off. As you said, people really appreciated what they got in this car. And the nice thing, for us at least, is it didn't hurt GTI sales. GTI sales remained very stable.
I was wondering about that. Did it
Very
cannibalize
stable.
that?
Nope.
Really?
They just stayed there. What we did was we attracted more people. And like you say, for $40K,
It's a lot of car.
everything. 292 horsepower, all-wheel drive, fit and finish that would not be out of place in a luxury car costing a lot more money. And the car drives brilliantly. And it drives just as nicely on the way to work as it does on the way to and on the track. It really is a 365-day-a-year car. And it's grown up. You know, you look at it outside, it's missing some of the stuff typically associated with these, hot hatches. It doesn't have that giant wing on the back. It doesn't
Thankfully.
have thankfully.
See, yeah.
Now, there's people that like
Want
that
that, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And you know what? That's cool. That's why I'm so glad that on the Canadian market, we've got choice. We've got other cars that can provide what customers want. They get a marginal bump in Europe. I think it's up to 310 horsepower. Don't quote me on that one, but I just spoke into a microphone. In Canada, we're going to stick with 292 horsepower, which is pretty darn good, and the car will get out of its way pretty nicely.
All right, now I talked about pricing before. The Golf R really is overall. I mean, a 40,000 is not inexpensive, but it's a value car because you get so much in it. Is there going to be price increase in that car? Are you going to move it up a little bit?
I don't know.
Oh.
And when I say that I don't know, I really mean I don't know, simply because the pricing is something we work on with our head office in Germany, and we'll have that closer to the date. And I'll also say, I don't anticipate any price increase.
Because the last two Golf Rs have been the same price.
That is correct.
So it'd be really nice if this updated one stays relatively close.
I think it'll stay very close. There might be a minor variation for the bump in some of the technology we put in, obviously larger screens and such. There might be a modest price increase there, but please don't hammer me if the price goes up a little bit. Mm-hmm. It might. There's such thing called inflation too, but we realize the success with Golf R has not just been about the car, it's about the value associated with the car. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. We want to keep this car affordable.
I'm imagining they got great resale value, these cars.
I certainly do. And I know it's somewhat disappointing for me because it's the car I want to drive, but we're selling them so fast they won't let me drive one.
Oh, poor guy. You have to pick something else.
I know.
Performance Pack GTI.
Right.
Well, Thomas, thank you very much. E-Golf is really an eye-opener. I think it's very well done because you get the Golf. It's one of the best-selling cars in the world. It's really nicely finished inside. A lot of electric cars, they cheap out on the interior, and this looks really quite upscale. So kudos to you. And for $36,000, you're off to the races.
For $35,995, I don't think you can do much better. It really is a Golf, and it's electric.
I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Zach.